Hi Saints, welcome to Faith in a Flash. Today we're answering this question: Is Jesus God? The Bible speaks clearly about who he is. Let's break it down. First, in John chapter 10 verse 30, Jesus himself said, "I and the Father are one." This isn't just a claim that he's making. He's saying that he shares the same divine nature as God the Father. Second, Jesus is the I am. In John 8:58, Jesus says, "Before Abraham was born, I am." And this is a direct reference to God's name in the Old Testament in Exodus 3:14, where God identifies himself as I am. So Jesus is identifying himself as the eternal God. Third, Jesus is the creator, and we see that in John chapter 1 verses 1 to 3, where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Through him all things were made." So this is speaking of Jesus, who is the Word, who was there at creation, actively involved in creating everything. Fourth, Jesus has the authority to forgive sins. We see that in Mark chapter 2 verses 5 to 7, where Jesus forgives a paralyzed man's sins, and the religious leaders accused him of blasphemy, saying only God could forgive sins. But Jesus didn't correct them, because why? Because he was indeed God, with the authority to forgive sins. Fifth, Jesus receives worship. In Matthew 14:33, after Jesus calms the storm, the disciples worship him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." So throughout the Bible, only God is worthy of worship, and Jesus accepted this worship. Sixth, Jesus is the Savior, because he says in John 14:6, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." So this is a bold claim that only someone divine could make, as salvation truly only comes through him alone. Now, seventh, there is the matter of Jesus' resurrection. Romans 1-4 says that Jesus was declared with power to be the Son of God by his resurrection from the dead. So his resurrection is the ultimate proof of his divinity. And now let's talk about point 8. Jesus fulfilled over 300 Old Testament prophecies. Some of them were written 700 plus years before his birth. So let's just look quickly at some key scriptures to back up his claim of divinity as it pertains to the prophecies that he fulfilled. He was born of a virgin, Isaiah 7:14, fulfilled in Matthew 1:22-23. So the prophecy is the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel, God with us. And it was fulfilled when Mary, a virgin, gave birth to Jesus. He was born in Bethlehem in Micah 5:2, that's a prophecy, and fulfilled in Matthew 2:1. So the prophecy is, "But you, Bethlehem, out of you will come one who will be ruler over Israel." And Jesus was born in Bethlehem, a tiny town just as prophesied. Jesus is the descendant of David, Jeremiah 23:5, and it is fulfilled in Luke 3:31. So the prophecy in Jeremiah is, "I will raise up for David a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely." And it was fulfilled because Jesus' genealogy traces back to King David. In Zechariah 11 verses 12-13, it says that he would be betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, and it was fulfilled in Matthew 26:14-15. And the prophecy is, "They paid me 30 pieces of silver and threw it to the potter in the house of the Lord." And it was fulfilled when Judas betrayed Jesus for exactly 30 pieces of silver that he later used to buy a potter's field. What about in Psalm 22:16, where he is crucified and his hands pierced, and that was fulfilled in John chapter 19 verse 18. So the prophecy is, "They pierced my hands and my feet," and Jesus was crucified, which is a form of execution not even invented when the prophecy was written. What about Psalm 34:20, when it states that none of his bones will be broken, and that was fulfilled in John 19:33, where the prophecy is, "He protects all his bones, not one of them will be broken." So despite the brutal crucifixion, none of Jesus' bones were broken. What about the prophecy in Isaiah 53:9, where Jesus is going to be buried in a rich man's tomb? Fulfilled in Matthew 27:57-60, where the prophecy was, "He was assigned a grave with the wicked, yet with the rich in his debt." And Jesus was buried in the tomb of a wealthy man named Joseph. So what are the odds of this? The mathematical probability of one person fulfilling just 8 of these prophecies is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. That's 10 with 17 zeros, 1 with 17 zeros behind it. So imagine filling the state of Texas with knee-deep coins, and then you're marking 1 and having somebody pick it blindfolded. So you have to ask yourself, is Jesus God? The Bible makes it clear. Jesus didn't just claim to be God. He fulfilled impossible prophecies, proving his divine nature. What do you think? Is it a coincidence or is it true? Comment your thoughts, beliefs, and questions. Like and follow for more biblical truths explained, and share this to someone who needs it today. Until next time.